highlights from the Shelly Palmer Innovation Series Summit at CES 2020.
As it turns out, if data was everything, then every single show on Netflix should be a smash hit, right? But there's magic in the world, and I have been a composer-producer my entire life. And I've met a lot of composer-producers and worked with a lot of musicians. And I can tell you that sometimes when you write a piece of music, you know you're writing it. Every once in a while, you write a piece of music and you think you discovered it, and absolutely no one can tell you why that is. Those are the ones that people tend to remember. There's magic in the world, and data-driven storytelling is kind of a misnomer because all storytelling is data-driven. The data comes in from your world experience, and it changes or it impacts the way you think. What I want to do now is I want to bring out two of my really dear friends, and I want to talk a little bit about math and all of the magic that goes around making something really, really work.
Please welcome Rick Haskins, Vice President, Marketing and Digital, and Mark Pedowitz, President, the CW Network.
Where do you want me? Anywhere you want. You can sit down next to Rick. Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Voice is gone. I'm doomed. So, for those of you who don't know, Rick and Mark run the CW Network. CW Network is the youngest television network by age in broadcast. Your digital presence from an app perspective is legendary. But before we get into this, guys, why don't you just tell us a little about where you are and a little bit about the network so that...
Should we start by running the...
You want to show the world what's inside of you? Do it.
Time to suit up.
My friendly advice to you, get out of my way.
You're not Batman.
That's the point. I'm gonna figure out who killed you. I feel like my life is worth something.
We're the guys who break the rules.
I was taught to block out my fears. I've always been strong.
Welcome to New York. We finally know who I really am. So which one of the bad guys is next?
It's impossible to know whose life you're gonna affect. The ripples you'll cause. There's nothing like it.
All right, CW Network. Awesome. So guys, the strategy for CW Network. Discuss.
Well, welcome to the non-data-driven portion of the program. CW Network. The programming strategy is really where fantasy, heightened reality meets serialized drama or comedy, or as we used to say in the business, soap. We have the young at heart audience who is loyal, who are both digitally and socially media savvy. And our purpose is to make sure, even though at a foundation, we are a broadcast network, we have morphed into a multi-platform network. So our purpose is to find that audience no matter where they are. We have found that using broadcast as a foundation and using what we have learned over the many, I guess this last decade, Rick, right, Rick? Where there were no rules. No one understood what was going to go on. We found that we became, and we tried to become, the preeminent AdVod service through digital. And we successfully have done that. So, Rick, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that CW, what our tagline is, Dare to Defy. And I think that that is what we do both from a business perspective and really push the boundaries and challenge the rules that are out there now, as well as what we do from a creative perspective. So,
But one of the secret things that Rick did not say is our immense ability through our social media understanding to find our audience. And so when we link our social media with our broadcast / linear and our digital services, we become a very important force in terms of what our programming content look like.
So when CW started, it was an output deal. CBS and Warner Brothers got together and they decided, okay, we've got studios, we're going to output. And very early, what you guys did is you took everything and you put it on Netflix. Like that was a Netflix thing.
It was actually a little bit more complicated, so let's go back a little bit.
Sure.
2011, the CW entered into what we call an in-season non-exclusive arrangement with Hulu and an out-of-season digital arrangement with Netflix. In those days, and now if you go back 9 years, Netflix had not yet begun producing for themselves. They had not done House of Cards yet. They had not done Orange is the New Black. And we had probably the one thing that no one had, the killer app. Our programming, even though we were at a critical juncture in 2011, we already had bingeable programming. And that bingeable programming, in a traditional media sense, did not work. But on digital, it did. And the audience found it. And the first year we went up on Netflix, our out-of-season, we were stunned because it was the 6th year of Supernatural, and Supernatural got resurrected by Netflix. A few years later, Arrow, after a very successful first season, got helped by Netflix, as did Flash, as does Riverdale, as has All American this year, and In the Dark, which will come on later this season. But we were at such a critical juncture because we were at that point. This was a little data, thanks to Nielsen. In 2011-12, we were 30% male, 70% female. And we were viewed as only a female, young teenage female network. So we had an epiphany. We realized that we had to broaden out, we had to bring back men, and we stumbled about until we reached a strategy. Rick and I were in a discussion in my office in 2011. It was December of 2011. And we both got up, and we had the Hulu deal in place, we had the Netflix deal in place, and said, TV is app-based, and our goal is to get our audience, because we knew we were not going to win on a linear basis, but we could win as an ad-vod digital basis. Rick, you want to take it?
No, I was going to say, as weird as it sound back then, and that was 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, people still didn't know if TV was going to work from a digital and streaming perspective. And in fact, I remember with one of our shows, Gossip Girl, we started it on air, then we moved it to digital. People were so afraid that the digital piece of it was cannibalizing the linear piece that we pulled it off streaming, thinking that people were going to stop watching it on digital and move over to linear. That didn't happen. That was an aha moment for us where we knew that there was two very different, very distinct audiences, and you couldn't take the digital audience and really force them into streaming. And at that point in time, we realized how important streaming was, but I think it was a little bit ahead of our time, and certainly ahead of what our parent companies thought we should be doing. But with that, we did realize that how important the app was, and the other thing that we realized, and with the Hulu deal we couldn't do at that time, is we needed to be everywhere that the consumer was watching video. And that is when OTT started to flourish. And because of the Hulu deal, we couldn't be on them because we could only be on owned and operated CW platforms.
So we took the weakness or lack of strength of what the Hulu deal had offered us, and we started another app called CW Seed, which was an R&D vehicle. And that app gave us the technical capability that if and when the Hulu deal would end, and we thought it would, that we could turnkey the CW app instantaneously, and we did in 2015. We got up there quickly. We took a business that was in, I got to be careful with my numbers, that was in the $20, $25 million range in revenue, and have turned it into way north of into $200 million. So that said, we have found that in our secret sauce, and our sales group is actually way ahead of everybody else in this area, we combine our digital offerings alongside our linear offerings, because we realize, and our sales team has done a terrific job with this, we realize that the audience doesn't care what screen they're on. So we knew we had to innovate, as Peter Drucker once said, innovate or die. We had to innovate. And we took all of our weaknesses, turned them on their head, and turned them into strengths.
And the one thing I will also add on that, all of this was done by gut because we didn't have the data to prove it, but we just knew that this is the direction that we needed to go. And so we made a lot of decisions back then that were the right decision, but they weren't data-driven, they were gut-driven.
And yet, the story doesn't have a non-data-driven ending.
Correct.
I'd love to tell the story about All American and how that went from broadcast to Netflix, and then back from Netflix to broadcast. And that journey, that data-driven journey, is really a phenomenal case study in understanding your audience, understanding distribution, having your finger on the pulse of what the data is telling you. And I'm going to let you guys take it from there because it's your story to tell.
I'll let Rick, because this is Rick's baby.
Sure. Well, All American was a show. We love the show. It is a all-American show about a kid from Compton who was recruited to Beverly Hills High to play football. It is actually based on a true story, Spencer Pacinger's story, and it is produced by Greg Valenti. We were very proud of it. We put it on the air 2 years ago, and we spent a lot of money, and nobody came and watched it. In our Netflix deal, all of our programming would go to Netflix, and what they would do is for a year or between seasons, people could watch the full, all episodes at once. And at that time, in theory, if we had relied on the data, we would not have picked it up for a second season. However, we believed creatively in the show so much that we did pick it up. And what happened on Netflix is it did get an audience. It was millions of people that were watching it, millions of people were excited about it, and then we run into our second problem. Okay, these are all Netflix people. We know that the CW people had rejected it. How do we bring those Netflix people to the CW to watch All American for the second season? And that's where data came in. And what we did is we did a media plan, and it was a very, very micro-targeted media plan where we figured out who the Netflix viewers who watched All American, and we were able to target them. We were able to replicate those people, and we were able to do a marketing plan directed exactly toward them to say, you love All American, if you want to see new episodes, you have to watch it on CW. Now, the next problem is how do you marry that data with good creative? Because I am a firm believer that that is the formula of success. Is if you don't have good data and you don't have good creative to put it behind, it doesn't really matter. You can have all the data in the world. You got to have those two working together. So what we did is we did a one-of-a-kind promo that hit that Netflix viewer to let them know that CW was going to be the only place that they could watch their new favorite show on Netflix. So if we could take a look at the promo that we ran.
Do you want to be an All-American?
Watch it only
on
CW.
I'm here, right here.
All-American.
Now. Got everything I need right here.
All-American.
Only. CW.
That's where I'd be to get this place in balance.
Bounce to the second season.
They either fight it out here
Now.
or in the street.
Mr. MVP is finally.
Whole new.
Nobody's gonna touch this magic.
Only CW.
Ain't nobody forgetting about me.
We'll watch when you come back
To the CW.
So do you think the people knew that it was on the CW? I hope so. Well, apparently they did. We premiered it this fall, and we had a 240% increase in year-ago numbers on digital and a 40% increase on linear. And according to Nielsen, we are the only program in its second season that actually increased the ratings from the first season. So that, to me, is a great story of how taking data, marrying it with good creative, have great results.
From my perspective, we're all in business. Everybody in this room has quarterly earnings to report. Everybody in this room understands that we can have all the theory in the world, but at the end of the day, case studies tell the story. And yeah, All American didn't look like a hit, but it had an audience, and that audience was findable. and it was tribal. And that audience could be segmented, clustered, and classified. And you could buy against that audience. And you guys did an amazing job putting that data story together. But you needed the creative to start.
Look, and Rick said it very well. If you looked at it from a linear perspective, or even at the CW AdVod digital basis last year, you would have believed All American had failed. That's point blank. We did not listen to the data. This is the one thing that has to be made clear. Yeah. Creativity, innovation will help you drive things. And we needed to see the Netflix binge. And once we saw that, we knew we were right. And Rick and his team then brought him back to the CW, which was helpful and has increased our AdVod numbers on our digital platform. But the key to all this is, all the data, all the things that you talk about, all the technological improvements, if you do not have great content, which requires great creativity, great innovation, your technology or your data will not drive forward.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right, and that's a drop the mic moment. I am really proud to have been a tiny itty-bitty part, and I mean itty-bitty part of the way you guys look at this stuff. But I am super impressed by the fact that every time you guys put something on the air, it has exactly the right mix of excitement and tuning to its audience. And I'd really like to play, before you guys leave the stage, the Comic-Con video, because this video just kind of explains the whole way you guys think about television.
Great, and could I set it up
real
quickly? So when Mark came, as he said, we were 70% female, 30% male, and he knew that he had to bring more male viewers in, and it was really through him that we decided to move into the superhero franchise. And the first show was Arrow, and with Arrow, that literally opened up a complete, as we call it, the Arrowverse of new product for us, a revival of superheroes on TV, not only for DC, but for Marvel and a lot of other things. And right now we've got six or seven superhero shows based on an idea that he had to bring in male viewers into the CW. And we're just going to show you a piece that we run in Comic-Con, which we're there every year. You're more than welcome to our party, let me know. And what we're doing with the superhero genre.
Part of being a hero is being able to see the good in people.
Revenge is not the right thing. Justice is.
It's your optimism that will help save us. Beacon of hope.
Checkmate. You lose.
How are we supposed to defeat fear itself?
There's a right way and a wrong way to do this.
Some portals open. Now send the monster through.
I'll show you what a real monster looks like.
Like this.
Like someone who'd rather do what's easy
Then figure out what's right.
Your team's moral compass is missing.
Where's Tobias?
I'm an upstanding citizen now.
This is payback.
This ends now. You're never gonna hurt my daughter again.
This is going too far, guys.
I will not let fear win.
I will not make that same mistake again.
Mr. Smucker!
Don't get any ideas.
Truth is meaningless.
Truth and justice always prevail.
I just never expected anything like this.
I will no longer be hiding in the shadows.
Leaving so soon?
I thought you were dead.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be when it fits a woman.
Thank Rick Haskins, Mark Pedowitz, CW Network. Thank you so very, very much.
For more information, please visit ShellyPalmer.com.